Hello, I'm Yutaka Watanabe, a tax accountant. Welcome to the channel Tax Accountant Nabe Solves Your Money Problems. Today, I'd like to talk about recommendations to file an amended tax return during a tax audit. Let's take a closer look at the highly stressful situation known as a tax audit. Something that can make your stomach hurt just imagining it. In particular, we will examine that seemingly kind and helpful proposal casually made by a tax auditor during the investigation. In reality, there is a tremendous hidden pitfall behind it. Today, I'd like to completely uncover that mechanism together with all of you. Are you ready? Then, let's jump straight into the main topic. What should you do if you are encouraged to file an amended tax return during a tax audit? This is an extremely realistic situation. Toward the end of the audit, the auditor may gently say something like, "There seems to be a small mistake in this tax return. Would you like to voluntarily correct it yourself?" This is truly crossroads where a momentary decision can determine your future. Should you simply follow what you are told, or are there cases where you should stand your ground? Today, let's carefully dig into that together. First, we need to understand one important point. What exactly is our recommendation? The legal basis is Article 74(11), paragraph 3 of the General Act of National Taxes. When an auditor says, "Would you like to correct this?" it is not simply the auditor's kindness or casual conversation. It is an official legal procedure firmly based on the law. Under the General Act of National Taxes, a recommendation to file an amended tax return is formally built into the legal framework as a mechanism to encourage taxpayers to voluntarily correct issues identified through the audit findings. The auditor is simply following the legally prescribed procedures step by step. There is a huge difference between acting without understanding this system and making your own decision after fully understanding how it works. Remaining calm and understanding this point is absolutely essential if you do not want to be swept along at other parties' pace. So, why does the law intentionally create this type of procedure that encourages taxpayers to voluntarily correct their returns? The idea behind the system is to give taxpayers an opportunity to recognize and correct mistakes themselves before the tax office imposes a powerful unilateral action known as a reassessment disposition, where the authorities effectively declare, "You owe this additional amount of tax." At first glance, this may appear to be a taxpayer-friendly and considerate system. However, this is where the story starts to become somewhat chilling. Behind this recommendation to file an amended return lies a very heavy cost that cannot be seen on surface but absolutely must be understood. If we organize the advantage and disadvantage, it looks like this. On the advantage side, you may avoid a forced reassessment disposal, and the audit may be settled peacefully on the spot. However, what exists on the correct side? It is the fact that your right to file objections afterward may become restricted. Do you understand what this means? In exchange for avoiding the formal disposition, you may effectively give up your legitimate legal right to later argue, "No, that interpretation was incorrect," and formally challenge the government's position. In other words, there is an extremely serious trade-off hidden beneath the surface. Please do not complain later. This point is clearly stated in today's materials as well. It is necessary to note that the right to file objections afterward may be restricted. A simple statement such as, "Yes, I will amend the return," said merely to peacefully settle the situation, can effectively erase your strongest legal defense mechanism against the government's decision. This is the enormous hidden cost behind the recommendation procedure. To add a little more explanation, there are stages in the objection process, including administrative appeals and lawsuit. An administrative appeal is a formal procedure in which you seek judgment from the National Tax Tribunal, a higher authority overseeing the tax office, and serves as the official gateway for requesting cancellation of tax disposition. However, once you submit an amended tax return, even standing at the gateway itself becomes legally difficult. Compared to how simple the procedure appears on the surface, its impact is extremely long-lasting and heavy. That is exactly why it is so important not to give into the procedure felt during an audit, such as, "I just want this to end quickly," or "I do not want conflict." Instead, you must pause once and think carefully and calmly. Now, the fatal cost of losing your right to fight should be becoming very clear. Under such pressure, the final decision ultimately comes down to one thing: the taxpayer's own careful judgment. When you are encouraged to amend your tax return during a tax audit, it is not merely routine administrative guidance. You are being confronted with a critically important legal choice. Will you purchase a peaceful resolution in exchange for giving up your right to fight, or will you preserve your ability to fully contest something you cannot accept? Of course, if the auditor's findings are clearly correct and you personally agree with them, then voluntarily filing an amended return may absolutely be rational choice. The real problem arises when someone agrees simply because of pressure or atmosphere, despite not being convinced. At times like that, please actively seek advice from trusted professionals such as tax accountants. Do not panic, do not rush, and prioritize protecting your rights above all else. If any of you ever find yourselves facing this extreme situation in the future, please remember the weight of this hidden cost. Which card will you choose to play? Knowing how this system works may become your strongest shield when the moment truly matters. Today, I spoke about recommendations to file an amended tax return during a tax audit. For more information regarding tax audit, please also visit the website of Yutaka Watanabe Tax Audit, Tax Accountant Office. I will continue sharing content related to money, so please subscribe to the channel. Tax Accountant Nabe solves your money problems.